Just a few thoughts. Again, I'm not sure where we'll conclude with this, but again, to the extent that this is the forum, then I'm just sort of maximizing the opportunity to make sure I raise these issues. I think, just for clarification, the fidelity to the Bar Association, it's the mission to serve the public. I remember when I was initially appointed, so I am one of your appointed people, but for my appointment, perhaps I would not have been on the Board of Governors, and but for that, I perhaps would not be seated at this table today. So I think there's merit in having individuals appointed. And in fact, I recall my interview when it took place out in Moses Lake. I was asked by a sitting BOG member at the time whether or not I had heard the discussion about the mission statement and whether or not I agreed with the sentiment that, or with the priority of serving the public coming first in the mission statement. And I recall specifically saying, yes, I heard that discussion. In fact, I went back to read my materials, my statement that I submitted for purposes of being as part of this process. And I referenced twice in there service to the public, and I put that first. And I think that sometimes we sort of construct this arbitrary or senseless binary, and in reality, in service to the public, that is how we serve the lawyers, because we have an obligation to ensure that lawyers are competent, we are ethical, and so forth. And the priority is to make sure that we're doing that for the vulnerable individuals who are members of the public, seeking legal services for things that are so intimate and emotional and traumatic. So that is why we have that obligation. I think it is absolutely ironic to suggest that we have that unique responsibility and that critical responsibility, but then at the same time, in the same breath, to say, but yet the people that we serve cannot be seated at the table with us. I think that's fundamentally problematic. To suggest that the discussions around not including members of the public had to do with representation and so forth, those things are contradictory. It's precisely for reasons of diversity, representation, accountability, transparency, inclusion, that you want to have members of the public be a part of the board, that you want to have the other members who are licensed to practice in the state of Washington, such as LLTs and LPOs, seated also at this board. So they also have a voice, so they can also hold lawyers and other individuals accountable as well. So again, not drawing any conclusions, but because this is the forum, I think, and hopefully we'll get to that part, that's why those things are critical. I am compelled to say, again, I am uncomfortable leaving certain things decided by the current Board of Governors. I, too, was attending the meetings where there is discussion of the new direction. I don't know what the new direction is. I am not afraid of change. We welcome change, but change should be good. Change should improve processes. Change should make things better. What I have seen is that we did have a dismissal of an ED for which current members of the Board of Governors expressed that they themselves were not aware of what the basis of that dismissal was. We had meetings wherein staff members, valued staff members, who were hushed or their comments responded to very grossly inappropriately, where, and I don't know if this work group is aware of it, but you have incredible talent that has been at the Bar Association for a very long time that is now no longer here. And it's a direct result of the chaos and the unprofessionalism and the hostile environment that they felt here. Great, wonderful talent that is no longer here. You had meetings taking place where people were very comfortable using racialized language. So there's also the lack of diversity training. And then in that context, you also then had these discussions about these purported changes to how the at-large positions were going to be elected, and then the refusal to implement the rule change with respect to the addition of public members. So within that context, then I'm asked to evaluate the new direction. So I'm concerned with entrusting or leaving unanswered part of our task with respect to looking at governance.
Thank you. Others? Comments? Hunter.